Well, hey folks, welcome back once again to Jack's Tech Corner and another Visual Studio Python tutorial. What I wanted to do today was I thought I would set a lot of you up or help you set up your environment to make programming Python and learning Python even a little easier on you. I did a lot of research. I've done a lot of digging to setting up Visual Studio Code or VS Code the proper way to make it easier to not only learn code, but to actually start to write, Python code and start understanding what you're doing a little more. So, with that said, I'm not going to talk anymore. We're just going to get right into it. Now, as you can see here, if you're not familiar with Raspbian, I am working on my Raspberry Pi. Now, the reason I picked the Raspberry Pi was because I know the environment's not set up. I'm trying to figure out, and I'm going to work on maybe writing a script that you could run and set up all these features without having to go through the step-by-step tutorial. But anyway, take your time, get a pencil out, and start jotting this down a little bit. Okay, it's very, very simplistic to set up the code environment the proper way. You're going to need a couple things first. So we're going to open up our Firefox here, and I'll show you these. All right. Let's see here where we're at. Okay, we're on the first tab. So the first thing I'm telling you to download or to install onto your system is Tabnine, Tabnine, and it's tabnine.com. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll throw these links in the description below so you don't have to write those down. So Tabnine is it's a artificial intelligence code assistance, I guess. And there's many of them. I used to use Kite. Now, the reason I stopped using Kite, and you can still use it, it's a good program, is because it didn't support the M1 Mac. And it doesn't seem like there's going to be any time soon when it's going to support the M1 Mac. The M1's been out now for almost 2 years, and they're still not supporting it. But Tab9 out of the box will work on your M1 Mac, Linux, and Windows. So it's a great solution. And if you're in education, if you have an EDU email account, or if you're a teacher in education, they will give you a fully licensed pro copy version. So you just go to tabnine.com, and let's go back here because I like to take you through these. I hate to see tutorials where they don't tell you everything, and I think that's a bad sign. Anyway, so you're going to go to tab 9 here and get tab 9. And they have one for almost every programming IDE interface you can think of. Now, what is an IDE? I might be getting ahead of you. It's a individual developer environment. Okay, individualized development environment, IDE. Okay, so now with an IDE, I use VS Code. I used to use Sublime Text. I used to use that. Sometimes I'll use Vim. Not very often. I'm not a big Vim fan, but I can work my way around it. And I've also used Visual Studio, obviously, over the years. I've used Visual Studio a lot. So what you're looking for here is whatever, your flavor of coding IDE is. But today we're talking about VS Code. So we'll say git for VS Code, and we'll go here. Let's see. Restart your IDE upon installation. Okay. To install Tabnine directly from the VS Code Marketplace. Okay. You can restart it later. But to do that, then what you're going to have to do first, if you don't already have it, and I already have it loaded, but we'll go into my other tab here. Again, forgive me. It's here we go. So it's visualstudio.com. Okay, Visual Studio Code, vscode.com. And I am currently running this on, I said, the Raspberry Pi. So I would get the Deb version here, because this is a form of Debian. Or you can use the RPM version if you're running Red Hat or Fedora or one of those flavors of Linux. So go ahead and do that first. Install VS Code, and I could tell you a lot of times VS Code can be found in the in your stores, whatever flavor of Linux you're running, or Mac. You can download this for Mac. You can also download it for Windows. So install that first. Once you get that installed, then we're going to go back here. We chose our platform, and we're going to click install now. I don't know really how this will install. Let's see. Visual Studio Code. So we're going to open the link, and we'll see if we can get this to install. You can see here where it is coming right up. Let's see if we can make this larger. There we go. So you can see it's coming up right in Visual Studio. That's why I said have Visual Studio installed first. Click on Install, and that's going to install our Tabnine. Okay. Very easy to get that working. All right. Once you have that installed, we're done with that. See how quick that was? Really fast install. The next thing you're going to do is we're going to install a couple extensions. All right. In this version, we have Python already running. Down here in the lower left, we can see I have Python installed. If not, you're going to have to go out, go to python.org, and you can download the latest version. Just go to Downloads, and whatever platform you're running, other platforms, Mac, Windows. So let's say other platforms here. Let's see what they have to offer. You can see here where you could even run it on iOS. I've never tried that, but I guess you can do that. Python packages for Linux distros. So anyway, regardless, download the Python for whatever version you're running and go ahead and install that. I think it has the latest version on here. I don't see it. I know I'm probably looking right at it, but I don't see it. But regardless, make sure you have the latest, greatest version of Python. And, it looks like the latest Python is 3.10.0 is what you're looking for, 3.10.0. Once you have that installed, let me see if I can't get this browser out of the way. We are back in VS Code. The next thing you want to do to make the VS Code work better for you is to load some extensions. Now, extensions are a way that we can build on VS Code and make it more user-friendly for you, the programmer out there, designing whatever programs you're designing. And there is millions of extensions that you can use for VS Code. So click on the extensions button, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down on the left. You'll see it'll say extensions. Click on the extensions button here. And you'll see it'll say search for the extensions to install. What do you want to install today? Obviously Python. Okay, obviously Python. And it says reload required. I do have Python already installed. So Python is giving you some IntelliSense. You can see where it says IntelliSense with Pylance, linting debugging. So it builds a debugger in. Jupyter Notebooks, which is really cool to play with Jupyter Notebooks. If you've never seen those, hopefully I'll do a video on those and just to show you how you can do a little bit of notebooking within your application. With that said, though, I also want to teach you a little bit about how to use GitHub. GitHub has been a huge beneficial or a huge benefit to me in my programming because I work in so many different locations on so many different computers, and I can use GitHub Desktop on all my computers, Linux, Macs, and Windows. And if I'm at work, I just click on Pull Original. Boom, I got the code onto my whatever computer I'm working on. I work on it. When I'm done working, I hit push and it sends it right back up to GitHub. I get on the next machine and I'm good to go. So what I'm saying that for is on GitHub, there's also a projects folder, and I do a lot of note taking in there. I like to keep all my projects and code base together in one place where I always know how to find everything. I used to be very scattered, and you may be the same way. I used to have little notebooks and memos on my computer screen, or little text files all over the place. And then I'd go to work and I'd forget where I'm at. I wouldn't know where I'm coding anymore. So I find it a lot easier to use GitHub and to use the projects tab and build your projects out in there. So if you don't have a GitHub account, it's worth it. And you can mark, most of my code is marked private. I'll put a link down there. I've been working on one little project that will allow you to create, new Python projects and set those up for GitHub. And so I've been working on that, and it's coming out pretty well. It runs on Mac, Windows, and Linux. So, and I've been working on that for not a long time, just a little side thing I've been dealing with. Anyways, so let's get back to this. So Python is here, says reload required. I'm not going to reload this right now, but that is the first extension you need, is the Python. This is after you install Python on your computer. All right, so make sure you have it on your computer. The next thing we're going to install here is AREPL. AREPL. Okay. And here it is right here. It's a real-time Python sketchpad. All right. It's just really nice to have this. It works really well. Just another one of those extensions that helps to let your code kind of flow. All right. So there we go. So it's installed. To make sure it's installed, you'll see it just says this extension is enabled globally, and you'll see uninstall here and disable. So if it's not installed, you would see something like this extension where it says install. Okay, this is a Python extension pack, and it has a lot of nice things in here. I would also say you can load this, and it will install all of these. Okay, but we're not going to use those, so take that. The next thing is docstring. Okay, docstring, Python docstring. What docstring allows you to do is, as you're writing code, it will actually generate some help files for you, or give you an idea of what the code does if you get hung up. So docstring is really nice. It's just a nice way, a docstring generator, and it works really cool. You can see the little test they're doing down here on the demo. Okay, once you have those, we are going to close Python. So we're going to exit Python here. Okay. Okay. Now, to be very transparent with you, I found out that the Tabnine Pro or Tabnine free version does not run on ARM architecture. So even though I put it onto and it installed just fine on the Raspberry Pi, but Raspberry Pi runs on the ARM chip and it's not working on that. So to give you this part of the demonstration, once you have your environment set up, I am back on my Mac, and this is VS Code on the Mac. We can see that the extension is now running. Down here, Tab9 Pro is running. So let me show you some benefits of code assistance. So we're going to open a new folder here, and let me see here where my Python projects is. And maybe we'll just call this, Tab9. I'll create a new folder. All right, and we'll say open. All right, this way now I'm in a folder, and we can go ahead and we are going to create a new Python project. So I'm going to start a new file here, and demo.py, just to get you started here. Demo.py. Okay, Python is running. We're going to start our first little introduction here. So let's say we're going to do something like create a variable. This is just a very short tutorial. So creating a variable called first name equals, and we're going to equal this to an input. All right, because we want to capture somebody's name. So we're going to do input and bracket here. And you can see where Tab9 is actually giving us some ideas of autocomplete. So it puts our little brackets in there, or little quotation marks. I use single quotations. You can use double, of course. It works either way. Once you're here, you're going to put what is your first name, space. All right. Then the next line here, we're going to put a next line here and put last name. Last name equals input. It kind of figured out, because as you start coding more and more, Tab9 is going to get better at picking up what you want to do next. Put the bracket in here. It always says, what is your last name? I can just hit. Now you can see how much faster that coding is, right? What is your last name? It already knew what I was going to ask. Enter down. We're going to print. And we're going to close this off. And what we're going to print here are just these two variables. So we're going to print first name. I hit tab. You can see where it's auto-completing. First name. Let's see here. We'll put space it plus last name. Okay, so it's going to help us complete that code. And we can now run this, and we'll see down here in our terminal at the bottom of the screen where it'll run it at. So it's run. I always run without debugging. And it says, what is my first name? Jax. What is my last name? Tech Corner. And sure enough, it prints it out. Jax Tech Corner. Okay, just like that. So you can see where Tabnine, or like I said, you can also use Kite. I'm not, one or the other. I used Kite for a long time. I've taught my kids a lot about Kite, and it works the same way. It auto-completes. I do have to say a thank you to Tabnine because I am in a college class at this time. So I do have an EDU account, or if you're an instructor somewhere or a teacher, they will provide you with a free pro version of Tabnine. They don't sponsor these shows or anything, so I'm just putting that out there to you. So hopefully this helped you get stuff prepared, help you set up your environment to program with Python. And like I said, there's a lot of extensions. I just seen the extension when I was doing this. I thought was a super cool extension. If I click here and type in Python, it was called Python. I thought I seen it somewhere. Python indent. All right. So let's see here. The Python indent helps to indent properly, because you'll learn with Python, indenting is such a critical part of Python. So I'm going to install this just to try this out later and see how it goes. So it says it's set up, installed globally, so it's ready to go. And if I go back up here and take this out, it always shows your list of installed extensions. These are all the extensions I've installed up to this point. So very worthwhile of having those extensions in there. Copilot is another one. Copilot also helps with a lot of the pushing of those, suggestions as you're typing code. It's really, really good. Jupyter, I told you about earlier, is the notebooking feature that you can use. And I don't remember the actual extension. I should know that here. Let's see. Jupyter. Sorry about that yawn there. My goodness. Jupyter is just a way to make Jupyter notebooks inside of your code. It's handy. Like I said, I already have Kite included here. I also have a bunch of PHP extensions loaded because I do program a lot of PHP. But hopefully this helped you out. Gave you a bit of an idea of how to use this add-on softwares and extensions. And don't be one of those folks that say, look, if I don't code it all by hand and do it all myself, it's not my code. Extensions help us to build code more rapidly. We don't have to reinvent the wheel every time we go out to code a new project. It's your idea that you're bringing to market, or you're bringing to that client, or you're building for yourself, maybe a tool. I build a lot of tools that I use personally, and I don't need to reinvent a lot of the stuff if somebody's already built an extension to help me build my idea. But thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it helped you out, and just keep coding out there. Keep practicing, keep writing code, and learn as many languages as you can. I mean, it's fun to learn different languages. I always say pick a project, design it, build it, and then pick another language and build that same project just to see what's the difference in the code base. But thank you very much for watching. And remember, until next time, keep coding, keep those viruses off your networks and computers. I'll see you next time here from Jack's Tech Corner Studios here in southwestern Pennsylvania. Bye for now.